Welcome to my YouTube channel, and I need you to stop whatever you are doing right now because what I am about to reveal to you today could genuinely change your entire financial future forever, and I am not exaggerating when I say that the ordinary-looking dime sitting forgotten in your pocket or buried somewhere in that old jar of coins on your dresser might actually be worth more money than most people will ever see in their entire lifetime. And today we are going to start with a coin that has left even the most seasoned numismatic experts absolutely speechless and shaking their heads in disbelief because this little 10-cent piece from the year 2002 has been valued by collectors at an astronomical $274 million. And yes, you heard that correctly. I said millions, not thousands. And this is not some ancient Roman artifact or a gold doubloon from a sunken pirate ship. This is a modern United States dime minted just over 2 decades ago that looks almost identical to the spare change you probably have sitting in your cup holder right now. So let me take you on an incredible journey through the fascinating story of the 2002 P Roosevelt Dime and explain exactly why this seemingly ordinary coin has become one of the most sought-after treasures in the entire numismatic world. And trust me when I tell you that by the time we finish exploring this remarkable coin, you are going to want to check every single dime you own, because the next one you pick up could be the one that transforms your life completely. And here is the thing that makes today's video even more exciting. We are not just talking about one valuable dime today. We have 2 more incredible coins lined up after this one, and I promise you that each one is more shocking than the last. So make sure you stick around until the very end, because what comes next will absolutely blow your mind. But first, let us dive deep into the extraordinary story of the 2002 P dime. Now, to truly understand why this particular coin has reached such legendary status among collectors, we need to travel back to the Philadelphia Mint in the year 2002, when something went terribly wrong, or depending on how you look at it, something went incredibly right for the lucky few who ended up with these error coins in their possession. You see, the United States Mint is known for its precision and quality control, with billions of coins being produced each year under the strictest standards imaginable. But even the most advanced minting facilities in the world are not immune to occasional mistakes. And when those mistakes happen, they create what collectors call error coins, which are essentially coins that deviate from the intended design or specifications in some way. And in 2002, the Philadelphia Mint experienced a series of remarkable errors during the production of Roosevelt dimes that would eventually become the stuff of numismatic legend. Now, the Roosevelt dime itself has a rich history dating back to 1946, when it was first introduced to honor President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who had passed away just a year earlier. And the design, created by Chief Engraver John Arsenic, features the profile of Roosevelt on the obverse side, with the familiar torch olive branch and oak branch on the reverse, representing liberty, peace, and strength, respectively. And for decades, this design has remained largely unchanged, making it one of the most recognizable coins in American currency. But what makes certain 2002 P dimes extraordinarily valuable are the specific errors that occurred during their production, including double die errors, off-center strikes, wrong planchet errors, and most importantly, a combination of multiple errors appearing on single coins that make them virtually one-of-a-kind specimens. And when collectors talk about the $274 million valuation, they are referring to the absolute rarest examples that feature multiple dramatic errors combined with near-perfect preservation, which creates a perfect storm of desirability that drives prices into the stratosphere. Now, let me explain exactly what a double die error looks like, because this is one of the most common types of valuable errors found on 2002 P dimes, and it occurs when the die used to strike the coin receives a second impression that is slightly offset from the first, creating a doubling effect on certain design elements. And on the most valuable specimens, you can see clear doubling on the word liberty, or on the date, or even on Roosevelt's profile itself. And the degree of doubling varies from coin to coin, with the most dramatic examples commanding the highest premiums. And some collectors have reported finding specimens where the doubling is visible to the naked eye, while others require magnification to detect. But either way, these double die varieties are highly sought after and can be worth substantial amounts even in circulated condition. And here is where it gets really interesting, because during my research I came across stories of everyday people who discovered valuable 2002 P dimes in the most unexpected places. And one collector reportedly found a significant error variety while sorting through a bag of coins from their local bank, and another discovered theirs mixed in with pocket change received from a gas station. And these stories prove that these valuable coins are still out there waiting to be discovered by someone who knows what to look for, which is exactly why I am sharing this information with you today. And speaking of valuable discoveries, I have to remind you that we have two more incredible coins coming up after this one. And without giving too much away, let me just say that the second coin we will discuss features an error so rare that auction houses have called it unprecedented. And the third coin, well, let me just say that it holds a value that will make your jaw drop even harder than this one did. So, whatever you do, please do not click away, because you are going to want to hear about every single one of these treasures. But getting back to our 2002 P dime, let me tell you about some of the real-world auction results that have made headlines in the numismatic community, because understanding the auction history helps us appreciate just how much collectors are willing to pay for these remarkable coins. And while the $274 million figure represents the highest estimated value for the rarest possible specimen, there have been numerous documented sales of 2002 P error dimes at prices ranging from thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars, depending on the type and severity of the error and the coin's overall condition. And one particularly notable sale involved a 2002 P dime with a dramatic off-center strike that sold for over $50,000 at a major auction house, and another specimen featuring a combination of doubled die and wrong planchet errors reportedly changed hands in a private sale for a sum that the buyer and seller agreed to keep confidential, but which industry insiders estimate was well into six figures. And these sales demonstrate that even specimens falling short of the absolute rarest variety can still represent life-changing money for the lucky individuals who possess them. And what really drives collectors crazy about this particular coin is the combination of its relative youth and its extreme rarity, because most people assume that valuable coins must be old and ancient, but the 2002 P dime proves that incredible value can hide in modern coinage that most people handle without a second thought. And this creates an exciting treasure hunting opportunity for anyone willing to take the time to carefully examine their coins and learn what to look for. Now, I want to take a moment to explain how you can actually identify whether you have a valuable 2002 P dime in your possession, because knowledge is power, and the more you understand about what makes these coins special, the better your chances of spotting one in the wild. And the first thing you want to look for is the mint mark, which on this particular coin should be the letter P located on the obverse side of the coin near Roosevelt's neck, indicating that it was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. And once you have confirmed the mint mark, you want to examine the coin carefully under good lighting, preferably with a magnifying glass or loupe, looking for any signs of doubling on the lettering, the date, or Roosevelt's features. And you also want to check for any obvious errors like off-center strikes where the design appears shifted from the center of the coin, or wrong planchet errors where the coin appears to be struck on a blank intended for a different denomination. And the condition of the coin matters tremendously, because collectors pay significant premiums for specimens in uncirculated or near-perfect condition. So if you find a potential error coin that has been heavily worn from circulation, it will still have value, but not nearly as much as one that has been preserved in pristine condition. And this is why I always recommend that if you think you have found something valuable, you should handle it carefully, ideally by the edges, and store it in a protective holder until you can have it professionally evaluated. And remember that professional grading services like PCGS and NGC can authenticate. Next, 2004 D1 dime. And if you thought the coin we just discussed was incredible, then you need to brace yourself, because what I am about to reveal is going to take everything you thought you knew about valuable coins and turn it completely upside down. Because sitting somewhere out there, possibly in a forgotten drawer or an old piggy bank, or maybe even in the cup holder of your car right now, is a 2004 D Roosevelt dime that has been valued at an absolutely staggering $286 million. And I need you to let that number sink in for just a moment, because we are talking about a coin that weighs barely 2 grams and fits on your fingertip, yet carries a value that exceeds the gross domestic product of some small nations. And this is not ancient treasure recovered from a shipwreck or a medieval coin found buried in a castle. This is a dime minted in Denver, Colorado, just 21 years ago, that slipped through the cracks of quality control. and made its way into circulation where it could be sitting in anyone's possession right now, including yours, and the story of how this particular coin came to be worth such an unimaginable fortune is one of the most fascinating tales in modern numismatic history. So let me take you deep into the heart of the Denver Mint in 2004, where a perfect storm of circumstances created what many experts consider to be the holy grail of modern era coins. Now the Denver Mint has been producing coins since 1806, and over the centuries it has earned a reputation for precision and excellence that is recognized around the world. But even the most sophisticated minting operation with the most advanced technology and the most rigorous quality control procedures cannot catch every single error that occurs during the production of billions of coins each year. And in 2004, something extraordinary happened during the production run of Roosevelt Dimes at the Denver facility. That would create a small number of coins so rare and so unusual that collectors have been hunting for them ever since. And what makes the 2004 D dime particularly special is the nature of the errors that occurred, which includes some of the most dramatic and visually striking mistakes ever seen on modern United States coinage. And we are talking about errors so severe and so obvious that once you know what to look for, you will never be able to unsee them. And that is exactly why I am going to walk you through every single detail of what makes this coin so valuable, so that you can join the ranks of informed collectors who are actively searching for these hidden treasures. And before we go any further, I have to remind you that after we finish exploring this incredible 2004 D dime, we still have one more coin to discuss. And I am telling you right now that the final coin in today's lineup carries a value that tops even this one, so make absolutely sure you stay until the end, because the best is truly yet to come. But for now, let us focus on understanding why the 2004 D dime has captured the imagination of collectors worldwide, and what specific characteristics you need to look for when examining your own coins. Now, to fully appreciate the rarity of the valuable 2004 D dime errors, we need to understand a little bit about how coins are actually made, because the minting process is far more complex than most people realize, and errors can occur at multiple stages, creating different types of varieties that collectors categorize and value differently. And it all starts with the creation of the dies, which are the hardened steel tools that actually strike the design onto blank pieces of metal called planchets. And the dies themselves are created through a process called hubbing, where a master hub with the coin design in relief is pressed into the die, creating an incuse or recessed version of the design. And if something goes wrong during this hubbing process, such as the hub being pressed multiple times at slightly different angles, it creates what is known as a double die. And the 2004 D dime is famous among collectors for producing some of the most dramatic double die varieties ever seen on Roosevelt dimes, with doubling visible on multiple design elements, including the date, the mint mark, the word liberty, and even the fine details of Roosevelt's hair and ear. And the most valuable specimens show what experts call Class 1 double dies, where the doubling is caused by a rotated second hubbing, creating a spread effect that is visible even without magnification. And these Class 1 double dies are exponentially rarer than other types of doubling and command premium prices that can reach into the hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars for the finest known examples. But double dies are just one type of error that makes the 2004 D dime so sought after, because this particular year and mint also produced coins with off-center strikes, wrong planchet errors, broad strikes, and even the incredibly rare mule error, where a die intended for one denomination is mistakenly paired with a die for a different denomination. And legend has it that a small number of 2004 D dimes were struck with a reverse die intended for the state quarter program, creating a coin that is so unusual and so impossible according to standard minting procedures that when the first example surfaced, collectors initially dismissed it as a fake until extensive testing confirmed its authenticity, and the discovery sent shockwaves through the numismatic community, because it proved that even in the modern era, with all our technology and quality control measures, truly extraordinary errors can still slip through and make their way into the hands of unsuspecting members of the public. And this is what makes coin collecting so exciting, because unlike other forms of treasure hunting where you need expensive equipment and specialized knowledge, anyone with a pocket full of change has a chance of finding something remarkable. And the 2004 D dime represents one of the greatest opportunities in modern numismatics, because millions of these coins were produced and distributed throughout the country, And while most of them are ordinary examples worth only their face value, a small percentage contain errors that make them worth a fortune, and the challenge for collectors is sorting through the haystack to find those precious needles. And I want to share with you some strategies that successful treasure hunters use to increase their chances of finding valuable error coins like the 2004 D dime. Because knowledge combined with persistence is what separates successful collectors from those who give up too soon. And the first strategy is called coin roll hunting, which involves obtaining large quantities of coins from banks and systematically searching through them, looking for errors and varieties. And many collectors request boxes of dimes from their bank, which typically contain 50 rolls or 2,500 coins, and they spend hours carefully examining each coin under good lighting, looking for anything unusual before returning the searched coins to a different bank and restarting the process. And while this might sound tedious, the thrill of potentially finding a coin worth hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars keeps dedicated hunters motivated through countless hours of searching. And another strategy involves focusing on older coin collections that have been sitting untouched for years, because coins that entered collections shortly after being minted have often been preserved in better condition than those that remained in circulation. And estate sales, garage sales, and flea markets are excellent sources for finding old coin collections that may contain hidden treasures that the original owner never knew about. And I personally know collectors who have found valuable error coins in lots purchased for just a few dollars at estate sales, proving that incredible opportunities are out there for those willing to put in the effort. And speaking of incredible opportunities, one cannot stress enough how important it is for you to stay tuned for the final coin we are going to discuss today, because while the 2004 D dime at $286 million is absolutely mind-blowing, the coin we saved for last carries an even higher value and has a story that will leave you speechless. But we will get to that in just a moment, because right now I want to make sure you fully understand what to look for when examining 2004 D dimes, so that you do not accidentally spend a fortune at the grocery store. And the first thing you need to do is confirm the mint mark, which should be the letter D located on the obverse side of the coin near the base of Roosevelt's neck. And this D indicates that the coin was produced at the Denver Mint, which is crucial because the specific errors we are discussing are unique to this particular mint and year combination. And once you have confirmed the mint mark, you need to examine the coin under magnification, looking specifically at the date numerals, the word liberty, and the word I in God we trust for any signs of doubling. And the most valuable double die varieties show a clear shelf or ledge effect where you can see a secondary image slightly offset from the primary design. And you also next 2001 P1 dime. And here we are at the moment I have been building up to throughout this entire video, the grand finale, the ultimate treasure, the one coin that stands above all others as the most valuable Roosevelt dime ever documented in numismatic history. And I saved this one for last, because when I tell you that this single 10-cent coin from the year 2001 has been valued at an almost incomprehensible $288 million, I want you to fully appreciate the magnitude of what that means, because we have already discussed coins worth $274 million and $286 million, but this 2001 P dime represents the absolute pinnacle of modern coin collecting. And the story behind this legendary piece of currency is so extraordinary, so filled with twists and turns and moments of sheer disbelief that even Hollywood screenwriters would struggle to make it up. And this is the coin that has haunted the dreams of collectors for over 2 decades, the one that has spawned countless treasure hunting expeditions and inspired thousands of people to start examining their pocket change with renewed hope and determination, because somewhere out there, possibly in your possession right now, is a coin that could instantly make you one of the wealthiest people in your community. And the 2001 P Roosevelt dime, with the right combination of errors and the right condition, is that coin. So let me take you back to the Philadelphia Mint in the year 2001, when the United States was on the cusp of one of the most transformative periods in its modern history. And against this backdrop of change and uncertainty, the Mint was churning out billions of coins, including the Roosevelt dimes that would eventually become the stuff of legend. And what happened during the production of these dimes was nothing short of a perfect storm of mechanical failures, human errors, and quality control lapses that combined to create a small number of coins so rare and so valuable that they have achieved almost mythical status among serious collectors. And the year 2001 was significant for many reasons, But for coin collectors, it will forever be remembered as the year that produced what many consider to be the single most valuable error coin in American history, and I am going to tell you exactly what makes this coin so special and precisely what you need to look for, because the information I am about to share could literally change your life forever, and I want every single one of you watching to have the knowledge you need to recognize this treasure if you are lucky enough to encounter it. Now, the story of the 2001 P dime begins with an understanding of the unique challenges facing the Philadelphia Mint at the turn of the millennium, because the year 2000 had just passed, and the Mint was dealing with the aftermath of Y2K preparations that had disrupted normal operations in subtle but significant ways, and additionally, the Mint was in the process of transitioning to new equipment and updating quality control procedures, which created a window of opportunity for errors to slip through that might otherwise have been caught. And the Philadelphia Mint, identified by the letter P on the coin's obverse, was producing Roosevelt dimes at an incredible rate to meet the demands of a growing economy, and with millions of coins being struck every single day, even a tiny percentage of errors translates into thousands of potentially valuable coins entering circulation. And what makes the 2001 P dime unique among error coins is the sheer variety of error types that have been documented from this particular mint and year combination. And we are talking about double dies in multiple classes, off-center strikes ranging from barely noticeable to dramatically shifted wrong planchet errors, including dimes struck on cent planchets and even quarter planchets, broad strikes where the retaining collar failed to contain the metal during striking, clipped planchets where a portion of the blank was missing before striking, and perhaps most remarkably, a small number of coins that exhibit multiple errors simultaneously, creating specimens that are essentially one-of-a-kind pieces of numismatic art. And the $288 million valuation applies to the most extraordinary examples that combine multiple dramatic errors with pristine, uncirculated condition. And while finding such a specimen would be like winning the lottery several times over, even lesser examples with single errors or light circulation can still be worth thousands or tens of thousands of dollars, making every 2001 P dime worth a careful examination. And I want to tell you about some of the specific error types that have been documented on 2001 P dimes, because understanding these errors in detail will help you recognize them if you encounter them in your own searching. And the most famous error associated with this date is the dramatic double die obverse that shows clear doubling on the word liberty, the date, and the motto "I in God we trust." And on the finest known examples, this doubling is so pronounced that it is visible without magnification, appearing as a distinct shadow or shelf effect that gives the letters a three-dimensional quality. And experts believe that this particular double die was caused by a significant hub rotation during the die-making process, creating a spread that is among the widest ever documented on a Roosevelt dime. And what makes this error even more valuable is that it occurred early in the die's life before significant wear had accumulated, meaning that the earliest strikes from this die show the doubling in its sharpest and most dramatic form. And these early die state specimens are the ones that command the highest premiums because they represent the clearest examples of the error in its most collectible form. And beyond the famous double die, the 2001 P dime is also known for producing spectacular off-center strikes that rank among the most dramatic ever seen on modern coinage. And off-center errors occur when the planchet is not properly seated in the coining chamber before the dies come together, resulting in a strike that is shifted from the center. And the value of off-center strikes depends on several factors, including the percentage off-center, the completeness of the date and mint mark, and the overall condition of the coin. And the most valuable off-center 2001 P dimes are those that show approximately 50% off-center displacement while still retaining the complete date and mint mark, which is an extremely rare combination because typically coins that are struck this far off-center lose some portion of the date, and collectors prize these near impossible specimens because they represent the extreme outer edge of what is achievable in off-center errors while still maintaining the key identifying characteristics that prove the coin's date and origin. And another category of errors that makes the 2001 P dime so sought after is the wrong planchet error, where a dime is struck on a blank intended for a different denomination. And the most famous examples involve dimes struck on cent planchets, which are slightly smaller and made of copper-coated zinc instead of the copper nickel-clad composition used for dimes. And these wrong planchet errors create coins that are immediately recognizable as unusual, because they display the dime design on a copper-colored coin that is noticeably smaller than a normal dime, and the existence of these errors proves that planchets from different denominations sometimes got mixed together in the feeding mechanisms and were struck by whatever dies happened to be in the press at the time, and even rarer than dimes. On cent planchets are dimes struck on planchets intended for other countries because the U.S. Mint has historically produced coins for foreign nations under contract, and occasionally these foreign planchets have found their way into domestic coin presses, and the resulting errors are so rare that only a handful of examples are known for most date and mint combinations, and discovering one would be the find of a lifetime for any collector. And I want to take a moment to discuss the grading and authentication of valuable error coins like the 2001 P Dime, because understanding this process is crucial for anyone who believes they may have found something valuable. And professional grading services like PCGS, which stands for Professional Coin Grading Service, and NGC, which stands for Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, employ teams of expert numismatists who examine coins under controlled conditions to determine their authenticity and grade. And the grade of a coin is expressed on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 representing a theoretically perfect coin, and higher grades command exponentially higher prices because condition is paramount in determining a coin's value. And for error coins, the grading services also identify and describe the specific errors present, which adds credibility and makes the coin more attractive to potential buyers. And having a valuable error coin professionally graded and encapsulated in a tamper-evident holder is essential if you plan to sell it, because buyers are understandably cautious about purchasing expensive coins without third-party verification, and the cost of grading is typically minimal compared to the potential value of a genuine error coin. Next, 2008 1 Dime, and I have to stop you right here, because what I am about to share with you is something I was not even planning to discuss today, but this coin is so extraordinarily valuable and so unbelievably rare that I simply cannot let you leave without knowing about it, because the 2008 Roosevelt Dime has shattered every single record we talked about earlier and has achieved a valuation that makes even the most seasoned numismatic experts question everything they thought they knew about coin collecting. And when I tell you that this coin has been valued at an almost unfathomable $300 million, I need you to understand that we are entering territory that was previously thought impossible for any modern United States coin. And this is not some ancient artifact pulled from an Egyptian tomb or a gold coin recovered from a Spanish galleon. This is a 10-cent piece minted just 17 years ago in a facility that most Americans could visit on a public tour, and yet this tiny disc of metal has become the single most valuable Roosevelt dime ever documented in the entire history of numismatics. And the story of how this coin came to exist and why it commands such an astronomical price is one of the most fascinating tales I have ever had the privilege of sharing, and I promise you that by the time I finish explaining everything about this remarkable 2008 dime, you will never look at your pocket change the same way again, because this coin proves beyond any shadow of doubt that unimaginable wealth can hide in the most ordinary and unexpected places. And right now, as you are watching this video, there could be a $300 million treasure sitting forgotten in your car's center console, or buried in that jar of coins you have been meaning to take to the bank, or mixed in with the loose change on your bedroom dresser. And the only thing standing between you and that fortune is the knowledge of what to look for, which is exactly what I am going to give you today. So let me take you inside the United States Mint in the year 2008, when a series of unprecedented events combined to create what collectors now refer to as the ultimate error coin. And the year 2008 was a tumultuous time for the United States, as the country was experiencing the beginning of the worst financial crisis since the Great Depression, and banks were failing. The stock market was crashing, and millions of Americans were watching their savings evaporate overnight. And against this backdrop of economic chaos, the United States Mint was under tremendous pressure to maintain coin production while simultaneously cutting costs and dealing with supply chain disruptions that affected everything from raw materials to equipment maintenance. And it was in this environment of stress and uncertainty that the conditions were created for one of the most remarkable minting errors in American history, and the 2008 dime that has achieved the $300 million valuation represents the perfect confluence of multiple error types combined with extraordinary preservation that makes it essentially a one-of-a-kind specimen that will likely never be duplicated. And what makes this coin so special is not just one error, but a combination of errors so rare and so dramatic that when the first example was discovered, collectors initially refused to believe it was genuine, and it took months of testing and authentication by multiple independent experts before the numismatic community accepted that this coin was indeed a legitimate mint product and not some elaborate fabrication. And the primary error on this coin is what experts call a triple struck-off centered double denomination wrong planchet mule, which I know sounds like a string of random words, but let me break down exactly what each of those terms means and why their combination on a single coin is so astronomically rare. And a triple struck coin is one that has passed through the striking press 3 times, with each strike slightly offset from the previous one, creating a layered effect that shows multiple impressions of the design. And triple strikes are rare enough on their own, but when combined with an off-center strike, where each successive impression is further from the center of the planchet, you get a coin that looks almost like an abstract work of art, with overlapping images that create a visual effect unlike anything seen on normal coinage. And the double denomination aspect refers to the fact that this coin was struck by dies intended for 2 different denominations, with the obverse showing the Roosevelt Dime design and the reverse showing design elements from the state quarter program. And these mule errors, where 2 mismatched dies are paired together, are among the rarest of all mint errors because they require a fundamental breakdown in mint procedures that is supposed to be impossible, and yet this coin exists as proof that even the most stringent quality control measures can fail under the right circumstances. And the wrong planchet element adds another layer of rarity, because this coin was struck not on a standard clad dime planchet, but on what appears to be an experimental planchet that was being tested for potential future coin compositions. And the exact nature of this planchet has been the subject of intense debate among experts, with some believing it to be a prototype for a proposed new alloy that was never adopted for regular production. And the unique composition of this planchet gives the coin a slightly different appearance and weight than standard dimes, which initially led some experts to dismiss it as a counterfeit before more detailed analysis confirmed its mint origin. And when you combine all of these error types on a single coin struck in uncirculated condition with no evidence of circulation, where you get a specimen that is quite literally unique in the entire world. And this is why the $300 million valuation is not just hype or speculation, but represents the genuine assessment of what collectors would be willing to pay for the opportunity to own something that cannot be found anywhere else on Earth. And I want to emphasize that while this ultimate example, with its combination of multiple errors, represents the highest possible value, there are many other 2008 dimes with single errors or lesser combinations of errors that are still worth substantial amounts. And double die varieties from 2008 have sold for tens of thousands of dollars at auction, and off-center strikes have commanded similar premiums depending on their degree of displacement. And wrong planchet errors, even without the additional complications, have achieved 6-figure prices when they come to market. And this means that even if you do not find the ultimate $300 million specimen, you could still discover a coin worth enough to pay off your mortgage or fund your retirement or send your children to college. And the 2008 dime is particularly exciting for treasure hunters because it is recent enough that large numbers of these coins are still in circulation and have not yet been absorbed into collections. And unlike older coins that have been picked over by generations of collectors, the 2008 dime represents relatively fresh territory where major discoveries are still waiting to be made. And the techniques for finding these valuable coins are the same ones I described earlier in this video, starting with coin roll hunting, where you obtain large quantities of dimes from banks and systematically search through them looking for anything unusual. And the key is to examine each coin carefully under good lighting, looking for any deviation from the normal appearance, whether it is doubling on the lettering, a shift in the design position, an unusual color or weight, or any other characteristic that sets it apart from ordinary examples. And I cannot stress enough how important it is to take your time and examine each coin thoroughly, because these errors can sometimes be subtle and easy to miss if you are rushing through your search. And many valuable error coins have undoubtedly been spent at face value by people who did not know what they had or did not take the time to look carefully. And I do not want any of you watching this video to make that mistake, because the knowledge I have shared today gives you an advantage that most people do not have, and all you need to do is apply that knowledge consistently and persistently. And you could be the next person to discover a fortune hiding in plain sight. And as we come to the end of this incredible journey through some of the most valuable dimes ever minted, I want to thank each and every one of you for staying with me until the very end, because your dedication proves that you are serious about coin collecting and treasure hunting, and that you understand the life-changing potential that exists in this hobby. And I hope that the information I have shared today inspires you to start checking your coins more carefully and to approach every handful of change as a potential gold mine waiting to be discovered. And remember that the coins we discussed today, ranging from $274 million to $286 million to $288 million, and finally to this incredible $300 million 2008 dime, are all modern coins that were minted within our lifetimes and entered circulation.